All right, good evening. Calling to order the Code Enforcement Committee meeting of Tuesday, February 8th, 2023 at, 7:35 p.m. All right, we've already had silent meditation and pledge in the previous committee meeting, so moving on to roll call, please.
Roll call, Chair Urbom.
Present.
Vice Chair Perrella.
Here.
Member Lightfoot Ward. Also present for the record, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk, Christy Alou, Village Manager, and Joseph Geller, Village Attorney. You have a quorum.
Very good. All right. The
And me.
yeah.
I'm going to say.
And Code Enforcement Officer Fitzgerald. Okay.
Councilperson Martin.
Yeah. All right, very good. The agenda, 3 items long. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So move.
Very good. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Fantastic. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, anyone, any nays? Hearing none, we will move forward with tonight's agenda. This is gonna be a quick meeting, so I'm gonna have the next I'll do good and welfare at the close of the meeting, and anybody can speak to anything at all that they would like to discuss. So for the time being, moving on to agenda item G1, introduction of Code Enforcement Officer Fitzgerald Simmons, affectionately known as Officer Fitz. As he comes up to the podium, I'll just let everyone know that code enforcement here in the Village of El Portal is entering, much like most other things in the village, a kind of more modern phase. So there was a span of about 10 years, and you might speak a little to this, I'm sure, but in terms of the backlog that you inherited as you came on the job. But for about 10 years, there was essentially no code enforcement in the village, which again is why you see a lot of the grandfather issues that we're dealing with. So we certainly are very pleased to have someone who is as skilled and qualified as Officer Simmons, and so he's going to just kind of give us an introduction of himself, and I would encourage you at the end to let us know, the council or the Code Enforcement Committee, how it's going for you, and I'll just plant one question in there for the end of your presentation, and that is, please let us know anything at all that you need. And so with that, Officer Simmons.
Fitzgerald Simmons. I started my code career in 2015. I was in the city of Lauderhill for approximately 6.5 years. I did 1 year in the city of Coral Springs. I became the code officer for the beautiful village of El Portal in August. My official start date was August 28, 2022, so it's almost been 6 months now. Born and raised right here in Liberty City, so I was very familiar with the village. Never knew it was called El Portal. So I knew my way around, but never knew the name. There are 4 state certification levels for code enforcement. I'm currently only missing 1. I have my associate's degree in criminal justice. I'm currently working on my bachelor's in public safety, emergency management. And in reference to the village of El Portal, currently my plan for the departments, more so what I've been focusing on, is health and safety violations, such as, overgrowth, site distance, bulk trash, working without permits, overflowing cans, neglected pools, abandoned inoperable vehicles and unsafe structures, as well as Mr. Urbom stated, BSNA was a program that was being utilized by the code department. It's actually a building software, but you can insert code enforcement cases in it, but it's not designed for that purpose. So I currently been transferring the backlog from there over to the new code enforcement software of GovPilot, as well as following up on those previous cases, because there were cases written, there's notice of civil infractions. Some of them are still outstanding that we need to present before a special magistrate. Some of them are so old, as far as courtesy notices are concerned, that they need to be closed and reissued. A very big one that I've observed within the village is in reference to the swell. The swell is considered an environmentally sensitive area. I've noticed a lot of properties that have gravel, some have it paved. And that is a big issue. That is on my list, but the main focus right now is the health and safety. Big health and safety is the Northeast 2nd Avenue, North Miami Avenue. All of those corner properties with the vegetation and the fences obstructing the sight distance. Work without permit, it's another issue. Some people doing it, some people are submitting and doing things outside of what's approved as if it's going to fall through the cracks. I see it, and I'm not letting it slide. That's pretty much, another thing, in reference to any concerns you may have, please submit your concerns via the website. The link is under the Code Enforcement and Building Department. Of course, under the Florida State Statute, Chapter 162, I can no longer, Florida State Statute, Chapter 162, as of July 1st, 2021, I am no longer allowed to investigate anonymous complaints. There must be a valid complainant information inserted to initiate a code investigation. The only way that your information will be suppressed if I deem that violation a health and safety concern. And anything outside of what I previously listed as a health and safety concern, your information will be provided. Must by Florida law.
Okay, so are you saying that someone would be able to make an anonymous report of work without permit, for example?
Initially, to file the complaint, the information must be provided.
Okay.
But once I conduct the investigation
Okay.
and deem it health and safety, that's when it will be suppressed.
Okay, very good. All right. That's fantastic. One question I have is the health and safety. And now in terms of work without permit, that's one issue, right?
Yes.
And then in terms of new construction, permitted work, things that are permitted, how is that going with coordination as far as inspections with the building department and things like that?
Anything that the building department, well, CAP in general, whether it's building, plumbing, electrical, any work that they are observing outside of what's approved is being relayed to me, to site, because the violation of the permit is work without permit. You did it, and it's not approved.
Very good.
So it falls under the whole health and safety. You're doing work without a permit.
Okay. You'll find that I ask a lot of questions kind of for public benefit.
Yeah.
So, especially that we have this on the YouTube channel. I swear it's wonderful. It's it's not exciting, but it's got a ton of information there.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
I love our YouTube channel. And so, have you found the new software in terms of these backlog cases to be what you expected? Is it performing as you expected it to perform? Are you happy with the software, the GovPilot that's being used?
Eventually, once
The backlog, right?
Well, yeah, once I get up to date. But as I go along, there are certain things within the program that I need to request as far as the feature is concerned.
I see.
In regards to accuracy dealing with the case.
Okay.
Once I get to that point, it comes to mind as I'm dealing with a case,
Sure.
in a sense of having an inspection schedule.
Okay.
I can potentially be passing by that property and observe
Right.
a violation being taken care of, and at that point, it's compliant. So therefore, once I get back to the office and insert it in the system, the inspection that I had coming up canceled.
Okay.
So before it was things, it would just be pass and fail.
I see.
So
Okay.
it's little feature requests that I'm
Okay.
adjusting as I go along.
All right. And
But as far
in
as-
case anybody would be, wondering, what do you do all day? How big is the backlog currently?
So we currently have 290 open cases
Is that all?
from BSNA.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's amazing though.
From BS.
That's amazing.
That's not a.
It is. It is. You've
It's not a-
been hard at work. That is amazing.
500, right?
It was more than that.
It was upward
upward
of
of 1,000.
about 4. It was about 400.
I guess as I think it was as Officer King or Officer Michelle had come on. I mean, like the original from going back to Carlos. I mean, it was something like 900 to 1,000 open, and then we've had 2 officers who've done a great job moving us forward, and we're super excited to finally be coming into the modern era and getting this thing done. So, well, I can't thank you enough for all our work that you do, and it's felt noticeable, I will say, and really appreciate everything you do every day. So,
Thank you. Happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. If any complaints, concerns, questions, they're more than welcome to contact me at any time.
you got it.
All right.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you sincerely. All right. Okay, priorities of code enforcement discussion. So, we can go through this pretty quickly because I think he outlined it pretty clearly. So, one thing I really wanted to kind of establish tonight, because it's been a while since code enforcement has truly met in a meaningful way. I mean, things have been going on and been getting done, and that's a credit to both the manager as well as Officer Simmons. So, but with this first code enforcement meeting in a while, it's an opportunity to relay to the residents that the priorities of code enforcement are not fundraising, as we'll discover in the next item. The priorities of code enforcement is not to issue fines. In fact, we want to avoid getting to that point where a fine would actually be incurred, because most everything should be essentially either on the warning level, right? We use words like citation and things like this, but essentially warnings is what we're talking about. So in that regard, we are a small village, 850 homes or thereabouts. But we have a great deal of activity, even just in the discussion, from the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting, you can see that there is certainly a lot of activity that takes place. So with that, health and safety is the first priority, and then it moves down to the aesthetic things. So if either of my committee members have anything to input as far as what you guys feel priorities should be. Do we feel like we're in a good place with the priorities as outlined by Mr. Simmons? Any questions, concerns, compliments, or complaints from the committee?
I'll say a little something. Darian Martin, not on the committee.
Yeah, okay, so I will close the committee and open it up to public discussion. If anyone has any comment on this item, feel free to do so now.
Darian Martin, 465 Northwest 89th Street, El Portal, Florida. I just really want to say that I am so excited about how our code enforcement future is looking in the village. It was a little bleak, but now things are moving. We have a code enforcement officer that is doing amazing and has such an amazing handle on our code and the nuances present and why we do things the way we do them. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you having this meeting tonight and kind of giving all the residents an update on what's been happening, because maybe they aren't seeing it, although I think it would be hard not to see it, but if they're not seeing it, they know that something is happening and ways in which they can report whatever issues that they are experiencing as it relates to code enforcement. So kudos to you and kudos to our code enforcement officer. Awesome.
Awesome, thank you for the comment. Does anyone else from the public have a comment about code enforcement? Or priorities specifically, but
So no question?
no, you don't. You can ask
Thomas
questions.
Pulliam, 205 Northeast 86th Street. Also want to say super happy we have effective code enforcement at the village here. That makes me very happy.
You can raise the microphone closer to your face.
Thank you. Also, totally get, health and wellness coming before aesthetics, but I'm also curious, like, with with the reporting, is there actually, is there now a priority, or will there be a priority of actually kind of patrolling, just observing, like using the vehicle under, like, and just seeing who's in violation or not without actually needing someone to report, whether that be anonymous or not?
So without, obviously, if you'd like to come up and speak, that more than welcome anytime. But I'll take a stab at it. You can correct me if I'm wrong here. But that is all still taking place as well. That does still take place. It's just a matter of, it's simply a matter of priority. That it's not that anything's off the table and not being. It's just that the order of priority is simply measured in those. But all of those other activities are still taking place, up to and including like citations for overgrown grass and things like that. Do I have that right, Officer Sims?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do conduct random patrols throughout the village because the position does require me to also do the admin work. So in reference to code enforcement, once I write the courtesy notice or the civil citation, it also needs to be mailed, which is a part of the due process of the code enforcement. So I do conduct patrols as well as respond to the complaints. So unless in certain situations it's after hours, in that case, through complaints or PD, I am notified of it.
Okay, sure. Yeah. It's just walking around my street that I live on, I notice a lot of just aesthetic violations that are not health and wellness, and it's not directly impacting me, so I don't report it. But I would love to have code enforcement that does. But yeah, I just report the things that are directly impacting me. So I would like to see that being more of a priority at some point. Once, like I understand there's a backlog and health and wellness is more priority. But I just want to ensure that there's, a nice system in place.
Yeah.
So that residents don't feel like they need to be, reporting on everything that they see.
So
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah, that's not necessary because currently the focus is the health and safety. Then we get into the aesthetics of planning and zoning violations such as bends and a big thing in particular that I reference to the swell. People having things in the zoning violations.
Yeah.
But the primary focus to get the department back stable is the health and safety concerns.
And then I will say this. So just before he had started with us, I actually received a citation last year. I had to paint a wall and do a couple things. So I can attest that that everyone is equally having things equally applied to them. But in that regard, the reason sometimes you might not see, like, hey, you kind of inquire, hey, has anybody cited this property? And frequently you'll find out that the property has been cited. And in the world of code enforcement, things do not happen quickly, typically, right? And so I will say that another positive sign of us getting to where we are addressing more of the, getting to some of the more lower priority items more often. A good sign that this is happening is that we are now beginning our magistrate process for several residents. So I think when I had first started in all of this, we did not have, it was in the code that we had a magistrate process, but we did not have any contract with the magistrate. We did not have, no magistration was taking place. And now we are now to a point where enough of these citations have been contested to the point where now magistration is coming into play, and that is something that has not happened in a while, and for me that is a very good sign that all things are pointed in the right direction. And the magistration process is, it's a neutral party as far as the judge, and then in my opinion, it's beneficial for both the village and the residents. It is truly an opportunity for someone to say, no, I really do not believe I am subject to this citation, and the judge will make a determination as to whether or not they are. So the fact that we have a couple of those moving through now is a very good sign that we are truly headed in the right direction. And I know it's frustrating sometimes when you see a property that just, month after month, it's still the same way. I promise you, some of the lean discussions that the manager's been negotiating, behind the scenes, still waters run deep. There are, fines piling up on several properties. There is action being taken. There is documentation being done now. We have, so we are certainly addressing those, taking the full, inflow of, just as you said, complaints, PD reports, and then observation as well. So we feel we're in a good place, and things are operating the way they're supposed to be at this point. So,
Thank you for the information.
all right, very good. Yep, absolutely. I love these lengthy code enforcement meetings. Yeah. All right.
Not at all. Hi, Luis Medeiros, 330 Northeast 86th Street. I welcome Officer Fitz and this position being filled. I think is a great idea. And as you were mentioning before, because of the backlog and we are having to prioritize and for the safety, I also completely agree. One thing that I thought that it could be, because there's this 10-year backlog and it seems like this is something that was not given a priority in the past, could be to try to update the residents with a more clear and easy to understand way, either through mailers or email or a combination of them, what is allowed,
Okay.
of what you can do and not do in your property. And I think that would be a very welcoming thing for people that might not read the legalese and the dimensions, like in an easy, illustrative way, so that they understand that the trash bins need to be kept at a certain point, that their grass needs to be taken care of. It almost like if somebody did an exercise for 10 years and they go to exercise, they cannot go and pull a lot of weight. You stretch. And that stretching moment on certain code violations might be a very welcoming thing for the whole village, for people to be prepared and to understand, hey, I didn't know that I couldn't do this. I didn't know that I had to do this. So that's basically my comment, that I think it would make
I think
life for everybody a lot easier
that.
in here.
I think that's a great idea, and I made a note. I'll get with the mayor, because I know he goes and does flyers out to the neighborhood periodically. When he does that, I might be able to include.
There was something like that. It's a welcoming package. Actually, Nickerson was one of the ones that was working on that. It's a welcome package. So when people move in and they don't necessarily know, so there was something like that. Yes.
And to make it very,
Or like a
I'm,
link to Municode on the website, would that be too far?
Yeah,
I
but
don't
it
know,
also has like simple things that people don't know that's
Yeah.
very simple and just,
and graphically,
Right.
I love to do something that is, it's drawings, it's graphical,
Okay.
it's pictures, it's with the assistance of a good graphic designer that, wow, it's so easy and clear to understand what I can and how to solve it. Oh my God, this is
Who to
wrong.
contact?
Huh?
Yeah, who
Yeah.
to contact? Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
May I
Yeah.
please, Chairperson Urban, if I
Yes.
may. Also, Mr. Simmons does like a FYI moment every month, well, in the last maybe 5-6 months that he's been with us, in the manager's report. And so what we discussed is, now that his page is up on the village website, that we'll take those blurbs and put them up. So there will be things on the code enforcement website, or section of the website, that will have, update, just FYI, for your information about swales, for your information about your trash, so those things. So we're actually putting that up now, and the clerk did help us get his page, get some pictures on his page, so we'll be adding the content. So that is another way we can reach the community, and I like your, like layman's terms
Yeah.
suggestion as well. Thanks.
And I have a kid which is starving at home,
You got
texting
it.
me. I will have to go, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you sincerely for being here. All right. Is there any other discussion on priorities of code enforcement? All right, hearing none, I believe I'm bringing it back to the committee, if I'm not mistaken. All right, is there any more discussion about priorities of code enforcement within the committee?
None.
Fantastic. All right. Hearing none, we will move on to the next item. Sorry, my computer was updating, so I'm going off the agenda off the phone right now. Yes, code enforcement fiscal year to date financial update. So the reason I asked the manager to put the sheet together was, again, just to kind of inform the residents, the public, have an opportunity to remind the residents that code enforcement is not here to raise money. So so as we look at the budget, there's not anything sincerely specific to look at. I just wanted to, here we are in, we'll call it mid-February, and we are about 33% of the way through the total budget. Reminder that the fiscal year began October 1st, not January 1st, right? So we're really we're even ahead of schedule maybe a little bit, right? So doing well. So in all of this, the bulk of the budget is the human behind the effort, right? So in this case, it's Officer Simmons. So I just wanted to put this on the agenda just truly as a talking point to just further let the residents of the village know that code enforcement, really the priority here is to have all properties be within the code. The purpose is not to earn extra money for the village, and in fact, outside of lien negotiations, there's not really a lot of revenue to speak of in terms of code enforcement. So without going too much into the detail, but maybe somebody scanning through a YouTube video is like, oh, I only talked about it for 30 seconds, I missed it. So we'll let it go just a few seconds longer. But is there any discussion or comments, questions? I like to say compliments, questions, compliments, complaints, or concerns among the committee here on how we're doing with the budget so far. Yeah, that's about what I have. Fantastic. All right. Very good. So I will open or close the meeting from the committee and go to opening the meeting up to the public. Is there any public discussion about the budget of the Code Enforcement Department? All right, hearing no discussion, I will close the meeting to the public, bring it back to the committee, and with that, I think in a decent amount of time here, I believe, I would be looking to move to, I will say new business. Is there any new business among the committee that the committee would like to discuss at all in terms of new business for code enforcement? I don't want to skip over new business. I think it's an important item to have on the, all right, very good. In that case then, good and welfare, is there anyone at all who would like to say anything at all? 3 minutes is yours if you desire. Hearing no takers, I would be looking to move to item, I don't have my glasses on either. Item K, adjournment. Would there be a motion to adjourn the code enforcement meeting?
So moved.
Very good. Is there a second? Second. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, the code enforcement committee meeting is adjourned at